into a very quick panel session, and I want to bring Jamie onto the stage. So Jamie Strauss has just joined us. Jamie runs a company called Digby that does lots of reviews of projects all over the world. But Jamie, we've done a number of them recently in South America. I wonder if you've got any comments you'd like to make to Maria's presentation.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you to Responsible Raw Materials and all of the panelists earlier this morning. I'll just be brief. I think the key thing I want to, I guess, just say in reflection is we had a customer recently, and I think it can be quite open, it's Abra Silva, who had discovered and grown their resource base really, really quickly, been a hugely successful company, but very much realized 12, 18 months ago that perhaps a lot of the stuff on top of the surface had rather kind of got lost behind a little bit with some of the speed of the resource side of things. And so they came to us asking us to help them on this. And it's really taken them from a position of being slightly underwhelming from how can we economically take this project forward to a company and a project that whether or not they build this project or they ultimately sell the project, effectively have filled all the gaps, have filled the holes, have got a social license which they can be proud of and are protecting, have identified areas within regards to some of the water challenges that they've got. All of these things have effectively been dealt with. And I think where this comes back to, and I think it was Maria, but also Pat in the previous one, is that this company is now prepared. It knows where a lot of its risks are. There are no certainties in mining, as we all know, but I think one of the key points is that where issues do materialize, they're better prepared, they're better organized, they're more resilient, which I think was a word that came up in Mark's call presentation yesterday. The company is more resilient to some of these challenges. So my three final points would be, the one key thing from my perspective from finance is sophisticated capital has arrived in this industry. Sophisticated capital has replaced the void that was there, which was left by the blow up of the hedge funds in the 2000s. Sophisticated capital is dominating the environment and requesting and requiring a professionalization of this sector with regards to management teams. That's a massive positive, nevertheless, a transition to go through. The second point is, and it is a certainty, is that financial institutions and insurance sector, and I think that's something we're going to hear a lot more from in coming days, weeks, and months, are judging companies by more than just geology. It is no longer the geology that dominates the value of these things and therefore the direction of travel. And the third thing, and my final point, is preparation, preparedness. It provides not only resilience, as we've just spoken, but it also provides efficiency. It attracts capital. It attracts capital beyond just the dollar of that last investment. It attracts names, it attracts quality, and allows you to be able to stand out relative to your peers, not only in the financial community, but also amongst your peers and with your communities and permitters. So thank you very much indeed, and hopefully that was reasonably short and sharp for me.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Jamie. And a beautiful summary. You don't need me to do this anymore. But I was wondering maybe if we
I've
could
learned.
quickly work around the room. Joe, do you want to start us off? You've been sitting there, and it's been amazing seeing some of your office behind during the session. What's really stuck in your mind from this morning's talks? Because they have been eclectic in terms of the variety that we've had. So if we go to Joe first, then maybe if we go to Pat.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there's a bit of movement behind me. I had to move out of the meeting room I was in. I think it's really interesting, kind of like from a personal perspective, when I was thinking about what I wanted to discuss today, and then when you hear how diverse everyone's perspective on this topic has been as well, I think it's so fascinating just to get like different people's personal perspectives, and we've had people from across the world as well, so we're getting a very diverse like geographical perspective there too, but also people from different expertise and specialities. So I think kind of getting that perspective on how creating a certainty in a world of change is positioned from so many different understandings has been really fascinating, and I've really enjoyed hearing everyone's discussion. So yeah, thanks everyone. I've learnt so much this morning.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Joe. Pat, how about yourself? And then we'll go to Edith.
Well, I think from my perspective, first I was very flattered, Sarah, when you asked me, but the imposter syndrome creeps in, and then hearing the first few speakers, it was flying through the roof. How talented at speaking and all of the interesting topics they discussed. I think the key thing that I've learnt on is more from a personal perspective. Really, is the theme of certainty and uncertainty, regardless of the sector, regardless of the context of the presentation, all boils back to similar themes. Really, what we were discussing is that uncertainty isn't always bad. Uncertainty can be a bit of an enemy in some instances. Um, Even when I was putting the presentation together, and even when I was listening to some of the guest speakers before me, I was actually amending my notes in my presentations. That, oh God, I hadn't thought of that. So I personally have just taken a great deal away that I can go and implement. And I'll be honest, that I'm pleasantly surprised because, like I say, people from all over the world, different walks of life, different sectors. Um, I was wondering how transferable it would be, but I think the general theme of uncertainty and certainty was a very, very useful topic to choose because I've taken a huge amount away from everybody, all the talented speakers. So thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks, Pat. Edith, how about yourself? And if Deanne is still there and hasn't been washed away by the rainstorm, we'll then go to
Yes,
Indonesia.
the
Excellent.
rain is stopped finally. Thank you, Alhamdulillah.
Brilliant.
But still unstable, the connections, internet. Thank you
Okay,
for having me. I'm
absolute
always happy for someone that would like to listen about the ISM situation in Indonesia because we are seeking for more networking and support because what happened in the area, in the field is very critical now in Indonesia, especially for the woman. So
yeah,
thank you so much.
absolute pleasure, Deanne, and thank you so much for your presentation. It was incredibly eye-opening, absolutely brilliant. Thank you. Edith, how about yourself? Any final thoughts?
Um, yeah, I'm happy for the opportunity to actually share about my work and also to hear about all of the interesting things that everyone is doing. As someone who doesn't come from a mining background myself, it's really important for me to actually see that it's not just about digging some rocks up. There's more to it. There's the people that are involved, there's the environment that is involved, and then it's also realizing that the uncertainty itself, it will always be there, but then we just need to be transparent about what we know versus what we don't. So thank you to everyone.
Yeah, no, absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much, Edith. So just to wrap up, we've heard from six phenomenal speakers over the course of our second session of six in responsible raw materials this year. So Joe, first of all, said that water should be part of project design rather than a risk that we consider later. And I think that was a theme that was then built upon, perhaps by, for example, Pat, where we were talking about we need to actually we don't want to go answer shopping. And how do we get ahead of all this stuff? We know what we should be doing. It's just that often when we're designing our projects and executing them, we just we just don't appear to do it. Then Deanne from Indonesia, absolutely brilliant in terms of talking about the different paradoxi, or conundrums between the regulatory, economic, and governance aspects with regards to artisanal and small scale mining. And because, whilst there is some structure there, because it's not really working, it makes the artisanal small scale mining illegal, which of course is a massive problem. But again, the solutions are right there at our fingertips. We then hopped across to the Philippines, where Dennis described some of the research that's going on there and the importance of social scientists in research projects and actually leading with the social aspects, not with the technical angles, which I know makes all of the engineers and scientists on the call feel a little bit twitchy. But wow, does it end up in so much more success when we put the social science first? It's amazing what happens there. Christopher Van Doom from Chatham House then gave us insight into, I don't know, some of the thinking and the approaches from the US government, the UK government, Zambia, and Botswana with regards to critical minerals. And gosh, it is varied and so deeply cultural. So those different countries, I think it's fascinating. So if you listen to Christopher's talk and then go back to, say, Isabel's talk from yesterday and match the two of them together, and I think trying to understand how governments and those kind of decision makers work is really interesting. Edith then took us through some of the research that she's doing with regards to ecosystem services and some of the tools that we can use. And what I loved you say there, Edith, was that tools don't remove uncertainty, but they can help you to organize it, which was brilliant. And then finally, of course, we finished up with Maria. And Maria, I confess I was doing print screening all the way through your presentation to steal your statistics. But it was absolutely fantastic. And I think what that allowed us also to do is in today's session of 6 speakers, not only have we included the Philippines, Indonesia, Australia, the UK, Malawi, but also Ecuador as well. So we've done pretty good, good going in terms of including different geographies around the world and a diversity of different backgrounds. So with that, of course, we're not even halfway through responsible raw materials. The next session actually starts at 12 o'clock. So in just under an hour's time. And that is a special lunchtime or insert, whatever meal it might be, depending on where you are in the world, session to do a watch along for 100 Perceptions Raw Materials, which is a documentary that we made last year. It was launched almost exactly a year ago, and we've won awards for it, which is pretty cool. So this half an hour or 30-minute long documentary explores the journey of 100 volunteers who came along to the Natural History Museum in London for an evening. They didn't know why they were coming. And apparently they had lots of fun. And the focus was all about raw materials. So what's happening at 12 o'clock is a number of the producers and the crew who actually made the film are coming to join us for a chat. We're then doing a watch along all together. And then afterwards, we're going to be joined by some of the researchers who are behind the science, be it the social science or the more physical science that went into making the documentary. So that's happening from 12 o'clock to 1:30. So that starts in just under an hour. And then at 3 o'clock this afternoon, UK time, so that's in 4 hours' time. We have session 3 of Responsible Raw Materials. Thank you very much, Aileen. And as you can see, we've got a phenomenal lineup of speakers. They include everybody from phenomenal researchers in South Africa, such as Dineo and Michelle. We've got Nigel Hart, who very much comes from the investment side within mining. So Jamie was mentioning an element of that. We've got Julia Sutcliffe, or Professor Julia Sutcliffe, who is the Chief Scientific Advisor to the UK government with regards to critical materials. Pippa Edwards, who excels in understanding supply chains, etc. And it carries on. So phenomenal speakers that we have for you this afternoon. That is session 3 of 6. As always, we're recording everything. We're sticking it up online very quickly. Go and catch up with us on the website. But with that, a massive thank you to all of our speakers from the session just now. Truly phenomenal. Round of applause for all of you. And we'll see you all very shortly. Thank you very much.